Should you pay off debt first or start investing? It seems like one of the questions that should have a simple answer, but we all know that's not the case. In reality, it depends on two things: mathematics and emotion. We'll talk about both in this video. Before I start, I want to set an assumption, just like you would before starting any kind of analysis, that in this video, we're only going to be considering debt over 6 to 7%, just because I'm determined to make this a short video. And we'll talk about all other kinds of debt in another video. At its core, the comparison is between two rates: the interest that you're paying on debt and the returns that you expect from investing. Debt is a guaranteed negative return because you know the number that is being applied. Investing, however, can be dependent on multiple factors. You could be making or losing money depending on the year, but overall, the trend has been positive. For example, the stock market has historically returned 6 to 7% annually, but there are bear market years when you could be losing money. So one number is certain, the other isn't. And that's basically what this whole decision comes down to. So from a pure math perspective, the rule is pretty straightforward. If the interest that you're paying on your debt is higher than what you would expect from your investments, then you would pay off your debt first. For example, if you have credit card debt at 20%, and you're expecting an average return of 8% by investing in index funds, for example, then you would be losing 12% simply by choosing to invest. So from a numbers perspective, this is a no-brainer. You would pay off the credit card debt first. Now, if personal finances were just dependent on math, there would never be money problems in the world. You would run the numbers, pick what's mathematically optimal, and you're done. But it doesn't work that way. Money can be a sensitive topic, and there's a lot of fear associated with it. So just considering the math would be a mistake. Personal finance is about what you actually do. It's about how you feel, how strong those feelings are, and how your body reacts to it. And this is where the qualitative, more interesting side of data comes in, which is the behavioral aspect of money. Money stress is very real, and it doesn't only just affect people who earn less. Even people who earn more money and technically should not have money problems experience similar issues. Fear, lack of knowledge, lifestyle creep, wanting to keep up with the people around you. It shows up differently for everybody. Debt also comes with another problem that people overlook. It tanks your credit score, and so your future interest rates go up. So the cost of carrying debt isn't what you're paying right now, it follows you. Now that we fully understand the problem, what is the solution? Based on our initial assumption of debt being over 7%, let's tackle the debt first. So we've answered our main question. But how you tackle that debt depends on whether you're looking at it from a mathematical perspective or an emotional perspective. Either way, the goal is to get to a better place financially. It's very easy to get paralyzed by high interest debt because it snowballs very, very fast. But when you're paralyzed, you end up doing nothing. And doing nothing is always the worst option. Like everything in life, taking small wins and taking small steps is always the best way to get to a better place. Attacking $500 at 8% might not feel like the mathematically optimal move when you're comparing it to 20% credit card debt, but if closing that out gives your brain a real data point that you can actually do this, then you're building something real. You're building the behavior, you're building the habit of paying back money, you're building history. And once that clicks, you can snowball that good behavior into tackling bigger things. At that point, you shift to the math and you aggressively start paying off the 20% debt. Now it really starts to work in your favor. And in neither case does investing make sense because the leak is bigger than the growth. So next time you're looking at your personal finances and trying to decide your move, step back and ask yourself, am I looking at it from the math side or the emotional side right now? Once you start building that awareness, personal finance starts to feel more like a game that you can win than a problem that you can never resolve. I've talked about building your financial trust score that you can watch in this video right here. Let me know what your biggest struggles with money are right now so that I can tackle those in future videos. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.